Good afternoon, Kevin here, bring you back another video on information technology. So for today, we're going to talk about optimizing Windows 7. So if you saw my other videos, I created user accounts and I also talked about installing Windows 7. But now that we installed Windows 7, now that we created the user, we want to know how to optimize Windows 7 for the user so the user doesn't have issues with their computer, and you want the user to have a really good time on their computer without calling you up and telling you, oh, my computer's running slow and it's not running the way it's supposed to run. So we're going to talk about that today, how to make Windows 7 run a lot smoother, a lot faster, and things like that. So for the agenda for today is we're going to talk about optimizing Windows 7, defragmentation, msconfig, msinfo32, and task manager. So this defragmentation, you rearrange fragmented data so your disk and drive can work more effectively. We also have msconfig. msconfig has general boot services, startup, and tools. We also have msinfo32, where you can do hardware, components, software environment, and we also have task manager, where task managers are all about applications, processes, services, performance, network, and users. So now that we looked at all that, I'm going to go one by one showing you what each and every one of these things do. So we have defrag. So I have my virtual machine open. I'm logged in as Paul as always. To go into defrag, you just click the folder application. You go to the computer, go to local C drive. You click on properties, and you go to tools. You have error checking. You could check the hard drive to see if it has any errors in Windows 7. You could defrag it, and you could do a backup of your files and things like that. So defragment now. If you want to defrag your computer now, you just click the C drive and defragment disk. You can also schedule a defragmentation on your computer. We also have our disk cleanup. You could clean up your computer if you have like dumps and error files and memory files and things like that. It cleans up your computer with junk files that you have on your computer. So now that we looked at that, we're gonna look at msconfig. So to get into msconfig, you just type msconfig on your start menu and you press enter. msconfig is a really good tool to have. You have your general, your boot, your services, startup, and tools. And you could do a normal startup, you could do a diagnostic startup, you could do a selective startup. And here in the boot section, you could select which operating system you want the computer to boot up from. You also could boot up in safe mode if you wanted to. In advanced options, you could actually select how much CPU usage you want to use, how many processors you want to use, and you can control the maximum memory you want to run on your computer. You also have your services, what services are running right now, and startup over here is basically whatever things are running on your computer on Windows 7 when the computer starts up. And if you have anything starting up, you just it should be a checkbox over here, which there isn't right now because I don't have anything starting up. You uncheck it, you click OK, and it will prompt you to restart your computer. You also have your tools, and that's pretty much one way of optimizing Windows 7. If you feel like Windows 7 isn't running the way it's supposed to run, you should go to startup, and you should pretty much select what things you don't want to start up when Windows 7 starts up. A lot of people have Twitter accounts. A lot of people have MS Messenger running in the background when they turn on their computer. A lot of people have maybe like an Excel or PowerPoint that turns on. Some people have things that start up automatically, like iTunes and things like that. So you could go there and you could just uncheck the box, and you shouldn't have that issue anymore. So now that we looked at msconfig, we're gonna look at msinfo32. So msinfo32, like the other one, like the msconfig, you just click on the start menu, you type msinfo32, press enter, And here it has an overview of your operating system on Windows 7. It tells you if it's what OS name you have. It tells you what service pack you have. It tells you the system model. It tells you how much memory you have, up to how much memory you can put on this. You can put up to 4 gigs. You can also have an idea of how your memory is running. You have your CD-ROM, your network, your modem. Look at the software system drivers and things like that. So that's MS. That's pretty much MS Info 32. And now we're going to talk about the task manager. So some people don't really have really fast computers. They have something called a thin client. So when you're working with clients, some of them have thin client computers, which basically are computers that only have the necessary components to run that individual computer. They will probably have 2 gigs of RAM and a small hard drive and Windows 7 32-bit. Some other computers might have 4 gigs of RAM, and they can run a lot of things on their operating system on their computer. So some cases you might have to close tabs, close applications, close programs that are running in the background. In order for you to do that, I'm gonna do one right now. So I'll click this folder file right here. So now we have a folder file running in the background, and I want to close it out. So we go to Task Manager. So you right click on the time, you click Start Task Manager, and you have your applications that are running. This one is running right now in the background. I want to close a library tab, so you click End Task, and it should close in the background. But also we have a processor. These are processors that are running that come with Windows 7. They're supposed to run in the background. If for some reason you close out one of these processors like this one, Explorer.exe, you're gonna lose the CPU. You're gonna lose the Windows Task Manager. In order for you to enable it again, you just type File, New Task, Run, and you type msexplorer.exe. And then you have your services. You have your performance, the CPU usage, and the memory, how much RAM is being used up. And you have your network. You can look at your network, and then you could check your users who's logged into the computer. You can log them off or disconnect them. If you're an admin, you have to be an admin in order to do that. And basically, this is an overview of Windows Task Manager. Of course, going back into processors and performance, if your computer is running a high CPU usage of 50 and above, and you have nothing running in the background, worst case scenario, and you have processors over here running that you're not familiar with, worst case scenario, you probably have a virus in your computer. So you should keep that in mind. If you get pop-ups on your computer, you probably have a virus. If you have a computer that's running real slow, you probably have viruses. So you should be wary of that. And if you still have a real slow computer and you want it to run a lot faster, you can also go to your Start menu. You go to Computer, click on Properties, and when you click on Properties, you're about to see right now. Give it a second. You go to Advanced System Settings, and you have all these things here: computer name, hardware, advanced, system protection, remote. And I will go to performance. So you go to advanced and settings, and you feel like your computer is still running slow, you go to visual effects. It says let Windows choose what's best for my computer. So you could adjust it for best appearance, you could adjust it for best performance. So I would adjust it for best performance. It will uncheck all these things that are running. These are the things that run on the computer that make it a lot slower. If your computer is running real slow and you think and you know that the computer is still running slow, you just go here, you check this out, you click OK. And then when you click OK, if you notice it, everything will start to change a little bit. It looks different. But once you do that, you'll notice a big difference. The computer will run a lot faster actually. My computer was running 70% usage. Now it's down to 34%. So this is really good if your computer's running real slow. So what I talked about was defragmentation. Defrag your computer at least once a month. Go into msconfig and control what startup items you have running, like iTunes or Skype or MS Messenger, and then you go into system settings, advanced settings, and you could go into animation and just disable all those things that are running, and your computer should run a lot smoother than that. And if you still have that issue, you should probably upgrade the memory on your computer if it supports extra memory, or you should probably replace the hard drive with a solid state drive. In any case, that concludes my video. Um, Thank you. Thanks for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I hope you have a good day. Peace. Take care.